going, everyone? Tim here, Tier 2 Adventures. Hope everyone's all well out there. As always, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. So we're going to continue on here. We're going to hit Class 3 now as far as our deeper dive into the SORRCA class-specific rules. So again, quick little disclaimer here. The new SORRCA rules are living rule sets, so they can change at any time. So as always, whenever you're building and watching this video, make sure you have the most current rules available to you in front of you. That is what you're reading and that is what you're building off of. And again, in the description below, I will have a link to both the SORRCA Facebook page as well as the OneDrive files for the SORRCA rules as well as the diagrams. I'm honestly very excited for Class 3 this year. With the new rules, new body setups and stuff like that, I am very excited for Class 3. And honestly, as far as the rules and everything else like that, it's pretty straightforward. It's not a whole lot to it because it is Class 3. So again, I'm just really focusing here on the Class 3 specific section. Again, in the front of this rules is the general vehicle guideline section with rules that pertain to all three classes. So as always, give that a read through as well to make sure you're not doing a illegal mod regardless of what class you are. Stuff with wheel sizes, tire band lists, and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and dive into Class 3. So first off, Class 3 gate minimum is 16 inches. So we're seeing a significant increase in gate width there for Class 3. So your options are expanded as far as axle widths, axle choices, wheel offsets, and stuff like that. So we're really broadening out for that performance level of Class 3. Next here, a good change for Class 3. Dig, rear steer, and selectable overdrive are allowed. So all three are allowed. Also, all three are allowed at any time. Prior, you could have four-wheel steer or dig, but you could choose to use one of them per course. You could have both, but you could only use one on a course. But now, with the new rules, you can use rear steer, dig, or selectable overdrive if you have it all on the same course. So sky's the limit to what you choose to go with there. Next big change here that did cause a little bit of stir, but honestly, I really like this rule. So Class 3 now has a tire minimum as well as a tire maximum. So the tire minimum for Class 3 is 4.76 inches, so just a nudge over our standard Class 2 tire size. And then the tire maximum is 6 inches. Also from that, your tire modifications are basically fully open now, and you can, sipe, cut the lugs, you can do full cut and shut tires, you can make your own tire, as long as all parts used to make your tire are legal. You can't use tread from an illegal tire with the carcass of a legal tire. It doesn't work. All parts of the tire you make or modify have to be from a legal tire. Next up here, as far as building, truggies, tube beds, flatbeds are allowed. Class 3 here can be on a full rail chassis, a pan chassis, or a full tube chassis. So again, more options are expanded there, so you can really kind of let loose and let your imagination take over as far as whatever you choose to build. Class 3 has no servo restrictions, so you can have axle mounted servo or chassis mounted servo. It does not matter. No windshield is required either for Class 3. Also, bumpers are not required. You do not have to have bumpers, but you can have bumpers if you wish to add the scale points. So if you're looking to put bumpers on for scale points, it does have just a few rules here. So for bumpers, front and rear, they must be a third the track width. And again, track width, top tire bulge to top tire bulge. So if your track width is 6 inches, your bumper only has to be 2 inches wide. And has to be below tops of the tires, and it must extend beyond the rectangles and be at least 1/8 inch thick or tall. And it says extend beyond rectangles and not body because, again, Class 3, you can have a tube chassis, so not necessarily considered a body, it's a tube chassis. So must extend beyond the rectangles to gain those scale points. Honestly, so pretty simple. 1/3 track width and below the tops of the tires, and you're good. And with Class 3 and running bigger tires, it's very easy to have your bumpers below the tops of your tires. So definitely all good there. Next here, if you are running a body, and there are just a few little rules and restrictions here. So first off, for a cab section. So wherever your cab exists on your body, front, middle, rear, wherever your cab exists, your overall cab height must be 4 inches. And again, for your roof top area, there must be like a 2x2 horizontal section used to make sure your cab meets those requirements. And again, that 4 inches is measured from the bottom of the body or slider to the top of the roof or cage work. And again, a 2x2 section for your cab. Moving on, so first off here, your overall length. It must extend to the wheelbase. So wherever your body is, everything like that, it at least needs to be as long as your wheelbase. So wheel nut to wheel nut, and you're good. And then your bumpers must extend beyond those rectangles to gain points if you want the bumpers. Then real quick little definition here on the center section. So center section, we've been measuring it. This is truly really the more important area to make sure that you are good. So your center section for Class 3 is measured 2 inches from the trailing edge of the front tire, and then 2 inches from the leading edge of the rear tire. And again, this measurement is taken at full compression. So if we were to do it, 2 inches from this tire edge in, here's where my center section starts, and then 2 inches from the rear tire in, and this is where my center section ends. That is the defined center section for my build and body. And with that center section, as the 2 previous classes, it has one more rule to go with it. So the entire length of your center section, whether it be met by body or slider, can be no taller than the tops of the wheel rims at full compression. So here is my line from top of the wheel to top of the wheel. And as you can see, I'm getting very close back here at full compression. So I may do a little bit more just to give me just a little bit of leeway just in case. But overall, so this center section here, I'm good. I at least have body and something here in that form, and it is below the tops of the wheel rims. So we're good there. And now one more requirement for the center section as far as your overall width whenever you're building your body or whatever. So your overall width here for the center section, it must be half the width of the track width. So easy math here. If your front track width is 8 inches wide, your center section here needs to be 4 inches wide all the way through. From start to finish, it must at least be 4 inches wide, and that can be met by either body or sliders. And then what we're talking about overall width here, for next up for the front and rear section, if you're looking to narrow them up even more or pinch them, whatever. So the overall width for the front and rear section is 1/3 your track width. So same width as your bumper basically is what they need to be. Again, easy math for your front and rear section. Say your track width again is 8 inches. Your front and rear, their minimum has to be 2.6 something inches. That's how wide those sections have to be. And then when you are measuring that width, whether it be front, center, or rear, when you're measuring for that width is measured no taller than the tops of the tires. At full compression, that is where those measurements are made. So I'm measuring for those widths. So I'm measuring my center section, make sure it's a half width of my track width. And it has to be measured below the tops of the tires. So I can't measure up here for that width. I have to measure down here below this line for the width. Wherever you're measuring, whether it be in the front, center, or rear, when you're measuring for your width, it has to be below the tops of the tires. So wherever that line is, that is where you measure to gain that width and make sure you're all good. And the last little bits here on the body, again, not necessarily in this section. So again, if you're looking, chasing some points, a few more things here on body. So if you're looking for like hard body points, again here, the body in each section must fill the rectangle when viewed from above. Bodies with inset grills or other oddities where the body does not fill the rectangle between the fenders can be covered by bumper, winch plate, vanity cover to fill the void. So, which for class 3 is pretty easy. You just have to fill those rectangles with your hard body and you'll gain the hard body points. So next part here, as far as like body wise, if you're looking for drop bed points, class 1 and 2, you had to pay attention with the shock towers coming through the bed. For class 3, it doesn't matter. You can have your shock towers come through. They don't have to be covered for the course and they don't have to be covered to gain scale points. So if you're looking to gain drop bed points on class 3, you don't have to worry about the shock towers. Just make sure you meet the rest of the drop bed requirements and you're good. So again, nice little opening there for class 3 to gain those points if you need to. So just like that, class 3 is done. Pretty easy. You can run big tires between 4.76 and 6 inches. If you want bumpers, they just have to be like 1/3 your track width, and your body, you can really start narrowing stuff down, getting everything nice, tight, low, stuff like that. So as far as actually building and making sure the truck's legal and fits all the rules, class 3 is pretty easy. Not much to pay attention to. Your bodies don't have to be anything super crazy, and honestly, there doesn't have to be much of your bodies left to actually fill all the rectangles in class 3. So again, that's pretty cool. The fun challenge of class 3 is getting as much performance as you can out of it because it is class 3. You have all the options now: rear steer, dig, big tires, getting all that performance out of your vehicle, and just having a much broader build platform and stuff like that. So definitely excited for class 3 this year. I think it is going to be an awesome class for me this year. I'm very, very excited. That will wrap up the individual class sections. We've done class 1, 2, and now 3. So the rectangles are done. They're ready to build. I hope these videos were at least somewhat helpful, getting through the guidelines or just getting through the words, breaking it down, trying to make it as simple as we can, or as simple as it actually is. Because honestly, reading the new rules, knowing what we're looking for, knowing what to measure, it's not bad at all. It's pretty simple, easy to work through, and easy to navigate through. So, like I said, that is going to wrap up these videos and stuff like that. Any comments, questions, suggestions, stuff like that, as always, put them down below. Do my best to get everything answered. But we're not done with the SORRCA videos. Next little video I'll work on here is going through the scale point section, trying to get your rigs to their pointed out levels between the classes 1, 2, and 3. Easy points, things that may or may not be worth it, and kind of go from there. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and As always, I hope everyone has a great one. And until the next rectangle, everyone have a great one. Crawl on.